Rakhee, Andrew, hey, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you, Charles?
Good. So nice to talk with you. I really enjoyed your show. I really like your partnership. I think it's fantastic.
Love it. Love to
Thank
hear it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to build off because Andrew, I've read the story about how you met your real life wife in a bar and that you fell on your face, and that's sort of how it started up. But now I'm curious how you met your on-screen wife. What was this connection like? What was the story here? What was the click?
So Rakhee and I met. We were shooting a show called The Beaverton. We were out in Hamilton, maybe. Yeah, out in Hamilton. And so Rakhee and I had kind of always been in touch as friends and just like as creatives in the industry. And like that's a common thing in like the creative industry, especially for those who are from the BIPOC industry. Like we kind of keep tabs, we find allies with one another, and Rakhee and I were always talking. So wild thing, her and I are in Montreal for Just for Laughs in 2019. We're hanging out, her and I. We see Bill Lundy at Pier 21. We sit down, have a drink with him. Bill's like, "Hey, I would love to hear if you got any projects." So then in December, we pitched him a project. They loved it. They brought it on board, and we were able to bring Rakhee on as a writer in the development room. And then when it got ordered, the series got ordered, brought Rakhee back on as a writer in the show. And then once the room wrapped up, Rakhee auditioned for the show, and it was like so perfect just because she had a different sense of the character. She had like an insider knowledge of how we saw the character. And so Rakhee and I have been like friends, creators, performers, and I have such a respect for her as a performer that yeah, it's been so obvious along the way that we would be together on this journey.
So Rakhee, you said that Andrew was your best co-star ever. How do you separate between Andrew Phung and Andrew Pham? Or is there no separation?
He was my best co-star ever and my only co-star ever. Charles.
By process of elimination, right?
Exactly. How do I separate Andrew Phung from Andrew Pham? Oh, that's a great question, Charles. Well, anytime I had an issue with what was going on set, I'd always say, can I please speak to Andrew Phung, the executive producer, to please fire Andrew Pham? Like, he is not pulling his weight as an actor right now. He's just like, he's really dropping the ball here. So there was actually a lot of jokes, Charles, back and forth with the comedy that is just the fact that, you know, we brought our personal relationship as friends and the chemistry we have as two people who enjoy joking around into the characters. So there was a separation, of course, because Andrew's character is it is a version. I mean, I'll let Andrew speak to this more himself because it's his creation of his character, but is like him, but is also unlike him in a sense. And similarly, Camille there are moments of me that I bring to Camille, but you know, I am a lot more, I think, silly and goofy than Camille. She's a badass. She has everything together. She's like, I love playing Camille. There's like a part of me that's just like, yes, I want to be this woman. You know what I mean? I look up to her. So it was sort of just like finding these modes of going into and going out of our relationship, and then into this other relationship of these different versions of ourselves. But all throughout our friendship and our relationship that we had established in the writer's room, and our ability to speak freely to each other and to collaborate and to offer jokes was always open and there. And that made it really fun and wonderful. Thus, the best and only co-star ever.
I mean, Rakhee, I had seen your work. You know, I watched you in What We Do in the Shadows, and there's a lot of other things that I've seen you in before. But you know, this feels like, as you're saying, it feels like an ideal partnership. It feels like, you know, this is the level. Like, you must really enjoy sort of bouncing ideas off of each other.
It's fantastic, the opportunity to be in a collaboration and to offer and to work together to enhance and come up with funny ways. Like, Andrew always had offers and I had offers, and obviously the directors always had offers. And it was sort of really nice to sort of feel like I could bring my breadth of work, my work in stand-up, in sketch, and in improv, and I'm sure Andrew feels the same way, to an aspect, and as a writer, to an aspect of this job on set. And also, honestly, like working with the best crew that felt so safe to make mistakes and to try stuff. You know what I mean? So that was wonderful.
So I've seen a lot of, you did your like cast reveal. You had, Chris Locke, the legend that is Chris Locke, and Julie, and Candy. I'm probably forgetting a bunch of other people as well too. And then also you did the Family Feud Canada, that you competed against Murdoch Mysteries. What was that like for you?
Oh, that was so much fun. That was like, another reviewer, we were in this interview, Rakhee, last week, and the other reviewer's like, hey, don't take this the wrong way, Andrew, but it's awesome to know that the show isn't about you. It's about your family and about the neighborhood. And for me, for Scott and I, when we were pulling together the show and we were building the cast, we're like, the show's strength will be on the neighbors and the family. Like you're staying for all these people because you're going to find yourself in all these people because there's so much fun in them, and they're like such wonderful characters, and you learn so much about them. And so Family Feud was like, we got to bring some of these people with us. We brought Ali Hassan, who plays Camille's father Ramesh. We brought Jonathan Langdon, who plays our neighbor and best friend Hudson, and we brought Julie Noki, who plays Camille's best friend Sam. And Julie was also a writer on the show and also in the development room. And so for us, it's just like, it's been very much like a family approach. And we knew that once we were able to write for the performers and see like what they brought to the role and then let them elevate it, the show really finds itself. And like, we found that very quickly with like Chris Locke as a comedian, very quirky. He's a comedic powerhouse, but he has a specific voice. So finding that voice in the character of Sebastian was really important. But we took the time to do that with everyone. And I recall a moment with Rakhee. There was a scene we did, and the script said, Camille cries. And then Raki's looked at me, she's like, nah, she wouldn't. It's just like, in that moment, we know who the characters are, and we have strong opinions of how these characters behave in these different situations, which is really nice. So yeah, it's all about the family on the Burbs.
So tell me about the Burbs. Where do you film it?
Rakhee, you got to talk about where you got to talk about the place.
We filmed it in a studio in Scarborough. A lot of it was filmed there in these incredible, like they just hired the best of the best to build these incredible sets. I walked in and I was just floored. If you see the bubble tea, Bubble Bay, which is one of the sets of where it's kind of like a meeting ground for all this, like a lot of the community goes there to get their daily hit of bubble tea or boba. It's just gorgeous, and you really are transformed when you walk into these spaces. It's quite incredible. So we filmed the majority of it there, and then all the exteriors were shot in the wonderful Hamilton, and there was this gorgeous cul-de-sac. Like so grateful to the people of Hamilton for letting us shoot there, like taking up that space. They were so lovely about it.
They were so nice.
They were so excited.
So nice. They would always come out and ask for photos, and you'd see them like if they had to leave the house, they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just gonna go to work." It'll be like, "No, we're sorry. Like, we're in your space." They were so kind. Yeah, they were so nice.
We shot at a pho restaurant there as well, didn't we? Yeah.
We shot at this pho restaurant, and wild story. So it's like we walk in and Rakhee immediately like, this place looks amazing, and I'm like, my joke was, oh yeah, this was an A&W. She's like, no, it wasn't. And I'm like, no, it's an actual pho restaurant. But the family was the Phams. That was their last name, and so we were connected really well to like the Vietnamese community there. We discovered so many wonderful Vietnamese restaurants and the best Vietnamese sub like you would think you could have. Like, we were blown away. This place sells out by 1:00 every day. But we shot the exteriors on Hamilton, and they were just so nice. Everyone was so nice there.
There's also two really good donut places there, I've been told. I visited one of them. Didn't get to the second one. Yeah.
So I got to see a little bit I'm very excited for what's to come. What are some of your highlights this season? What are some of the moments that you really enjoyed?
I mean, I don't know. Can we say we'll be spoiling? I don't know, Andrew. I defer
You know
to you.
what? I'm just really excited for them to see the inner workings of the marriage between Andrew and Camille, because I think like once you see them in the bedroom and once you see them on the couch with each other, just like as individuals, like there's a great scene where Camille comes home from work and she plops down on the couch and Andrew and her just talk about their day. And like it's such a normal scene, but that's what really shows their marriage in the chaos that is the suburbs and the energy. There's this moment where they check in with each other and they're just there for each other. It's really nice. But I'm really excited for you to see Andrew and Camille go on and the kids go on their own individual journeys as characters. And we're setting that up in the first couple episodes that you watch, but they go on a journey on their own. But when they come home, their family is there to support them. It's not a show about the conflicts of a family. It's a show about these individuals growing as people and then how their family is there to support them through it all. And that was really important for us as the writers' room to like showcase a family that we weren't seeing on television, but that we knew existed. So I think those are things I'm really excited for them to see. Also, Kia's storyline with Mannix and her journey as a young person dealing with their sexuality and relationships. It's like such a heartwarming thing. And like, I'm so excited for young people to connect to that character.
And
I was just very excited to see that. I was quite surprised, that you would go there on a show, but I think it worked so beautifully. So I wanted to just commend you for that.
Thank you. It was such an easy thing to it was like something that we decided on very early in writing, and it was so easy to get there, but it was so nuanced in the discussions of how do we tell that story and how do we showcase it, and then finding a performer in Zoraya that was capable of carrying that weight, but then making sure that wasn't the only thing we told about Kia. Like we didn't want her sexuality or her dating relationships to be her one defining thing. So we like leave that, we come back. Like it's a thoughtful process that we want to showcase. But yeah, I'm so happy that and how it was executed.
And this is a family that exists. I mean, this is a family that we all know, and we were representing what we know, what we see, and what we believe hasn't been shown on television as well. So that was really important to us, and representation is key. And being able to have conversations, almost be a door opening for conversations that maybe we don't have with our parents, but after watching this show, we'd be able to have with our parents through the show, was just like almost icing on the cake. It was like the cherry on top. But also we're really excited for you to see all the other adventures that these characters get into. And that's why I said I don't want to do any spoilers, because there are some really fun adventures, a lot of small things spiraling out of control. And I gotta say, really beautifully shot stuff too. Like really interesting visually, like our directors did really incredible visual work to bring forth a show that is fresh, new in all aspects of it.
So you're the fam. Were you allowed to go? What was the rule about going to your actual fam, to your families, to mine for material?
I mean, I didn't ask any permissions. I just mined.
Yeah, I think for legal reasons, none of it's based on actual experiences, but all of it is drawn from shared experiences and knowledge of the suburbs. So for us as a room, we had all grown up there or lived there at one point. Rakhee went back to live in the suburbs with her parents during COVID. And so it was just pulling from that. Pulling from scenarios, but then not necessarily basing any characters on anyone. So the characters in our world are maybe a lot of traits of characters in all of our lives, because we want to make sure we spend enough time with every character. We didn't want like 50 characters to go through in their world. We're really thoughtful in the neighbors we introduce in the season. But there's definitely some great stories. Like Rakhee, you shared. I love all your stories. There's also a TikTok you shared where you're dancing in front of your parents' house, and then it's just like you captioning, "My mom is recording this. My neighbors are now watching me dance," like, which was just so funny.
Yeah, it was. We a lot of the writers that were hired, or the that I've had the pleasure to be with in the writers' room, all come from different backgrounds and have a lot of a wealth of their own experience and great creative ideas, and that's kind of how it all came together.
So when you're working with somebody like Chris Locke, say on the first episode, how do you? He's really funny because he doesn't, it's all kind of quiet, but very deadpan. How do you keep a straight face? How do you not bite your lip acting opposite?
It's not even Chris. It's like everyone.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, of course, like Chris is hilarious, but it's like, even when I was sometimes playing with Roman, I would be,
oh, Roman's so funny.
Roman is so funny and mischievous. And as soon as you cut, like, we're just cracking jokes. And I'm someone who kind of needs to like settle before we go. And he'd be like, blah, 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 and then action, okay, he's on.
Yeah.
High level professional. And ditto with Raya, like all the supporting cast was hard to work with in the sense that they were so funny all the time. So it was hard to keep a straight face because we had to get through the day, of course. And of course, yeah, like Jonathan Langdon, for one, was always sort of improvising other little jokes in between, and it was just sort of like, oh, you gotta keep that, but you gotta keep that. Everything was just great.
Like Aurora Brown, Ali Hassan, Jonathan Langdon. Like, you tell me you put those and then us in a scene, and just like it's a spiral. So like every day was a struggle to not constantly laugh. There towards the end though, there was a day where Ali Hassan just like, he couldn't get this line. I'm laughing thinking about it. It just was so funny. And then Paloma Nunez was also there, and it just was like, it's a riot. But I will say, not only is everyone really funny, they're also so talented. Like, when we need to go dramatic, because there's a lot of heart in the show. And I remember there was a moment with Simone, who plays Mannix, our next door neighbor and Hudson's daughter. And there was like a serious dramatic moment with her. And Rakhee and I are just like, oh, damn, you're so good. Her and I are looking at each other. And then we realize, oh, shit, we're still in the scene. We have to keep acting. Like, she was so good.
You brought us in.
Broke us. And that we're so unprofessional that we forgot we were acting. That's
we like turned to each other. We turned to each other. We were like, damn. And then we were like, well, we can't turn to each other. The camera's behind us.
Yeah. Well, it's really fun to see sort of throwbacks to summer as well. And I know the show's coming out in the new year. So it must be really like, you must be feeling all the feels right now. The fact that people are going to be seeing this labor of love that you could do.
Yeah, we made a show. We wrapped the show November 5th. It aired 2 months after, the show went through development and order and production in a year and a half, in 2 years, the entire process, and it's wild. It's also fun because we're seeing the summer. We were thoughtful in the first 5 episodes being the summer of fams. So you're seeing the first 5 episodes of the series take place in the summer as they go back to school. And then we end back on the summer, which was tricky shooting because sometimes we were shooting in late October and trying to play it off as summer. So thankfully some of the weather really cooperated with us, but you're also going to see those Canadian winters and springs really pop up. So
just want to thank you both. Andrew, as always. Rakhee, so nice to meet you, to be able to speak with you for the first time. And such a pleasure. Thank you so much to both of you. Best.